The 2025 NFL Draft is in the rear view, but we're still talking about this Niners draft class. Coming up here on the show, we're going to take a look and react to Mel Kiper's draft grade for the San Francisco 49ers. But as we always do, we want you to have a voice on this show. We want you to share your opinions and your analysis. So let's see where you're at. Where do you stand? If you like what John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan did with this Niners draft, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. If you don't, that's fine. We can disagree. I want you to comment why. And of course, a happy Monday to everybody. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Sr. here with you. Hope all of you out there had a great weekend. Appreciate all of you who tuned into our draft coverage. And I hope that your weeks are off to a phenomenal start as well. As I mentioned off the top, going to react to Mel Kiper Jr.'s grades for the San Francisco 49ers post-2025 NFL Draft. To start, let's recap what San Francisco did. I thought Robert Saleh's influence was all over this draft, and with the first 5 picks of this draft for San Francisco, they went defense, 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 because they badly needed to bulk up that unit. They had some holes, and they have brought in some really intriguing and promising players. With the 11th overall pick, the Niners taking Mykel Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia, NFL body right now. And I think that he is going to be the starting defensive end week 1 opposite of Nick Bosa. To start, he's going to dramatically help this Niners defense in stopping the run. That's a great strength of his. Does he need to get better as a pass rusher? No doubt. And hopefully he can build upon that pass rush arsenal. But the athleticism is going to translate right from the jump. He is physically imposing. So too is Alfred Collins, who, like Mykel Williams, is a freak, 6'5", 330. Williams is a tick under 270 pounds. Alfred Collins is one of the top defensive tackles in the game, and sometimes he can swallow up and absorb double and triple teams and still make an impact from the interior defensive line. I also think he's a really good scheme fit for the wide 9, and it's hard to find defensive tackles who can stop the run and be a scheme fit for the wide 9. Nick Martin, shades of Dre Greenlaw, shades of Azeez Al-Shire with the play style and the play speed and the level of physicality and the aggression that he plays with. The Niners went that route in round 3. Upton, Stout, little bit of a reach, but Niner fans are really going to like how he plays the game of football. And there's a theme here. Mykel Williams, Alfred Collins, Nick Martin, Upton, Stout, all quality players against the run. Some people are going to rip Upton Stout the lack of size. He's a tick under 5'9". He's like 180 pounds soaking wet. But he, too, plays with aggression, a Niner style of player, and San Francisco is trying to recapture their defensive identity under Robert Saleh with Robert Saleh guys that they haven't had over the last couple of years since DeMeco Ryans. I like the ball skills for Stout, the ability to stop the run. He is a speedster, 4.3, 4.4 guy. That shows up on tape. CJ West, twitchy, quick, explosive defensive lineman. He's shorter. Collins is 6'5". CJ West is like 6 feet, 6'1". But on the gauntlet, 40-yard dash, he was moving. So too was Jordan Watkins, the first offensive player who the Niners took. Very explosive player in the SEC, the only player in college football to have 6+ catches of 60+ yards last year. 4.3 burner who tracks the ball well, figures to be a better slot wideout, little bit small, but the Niners needed a wideout who could get vertical and take the top off of the defense. Jordan James is a classic Kyle Shanahan, Bobby Turner type of running back out of Oregon. Decisive, good vision, one-cut runner, perfect for the outside zone scheme, did not fumble his entire career at Oregon. He is also a good pass protector and has some potential to catch the ball out of the backfield. Marques Sigle, the safety out of Kansas State, he can play slot, he can play nickel, he can play safety, and that drafting of Sigle becomes more important because we're not sure when Malik Mustafa is going to come back because he re-injured his ACL, as we found out after the draft in Week 18 when he took a cleat to his knee. Kurtis Rourke, a big-bodied, strong-armed quarterback who dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career, but he will look down the gun barrel. He will complete passes downfield. He is physically built, not really a good mover, but he played all of last year with the partially torn ACL, and I do like his toughness to deliver the rock. The Niners finally went offensive lineman with Connor Colby. He is also a scheme fit for the outside zone, loves finishing blocks, pancaking cats, and driving defenders into the ground. And then there's Junior Bergen, who a lot of people don't know about, wide receiver out of Montana. The Niners are drafting him as a return specialist, and he goes down as one of the best returners in the history of FCS football. Really electric, taking multiple returns back to the house. I'm excited to see him in training camp and in the preseason. Back to Mel Kiper here. His top needs for the Niners going into the draft: defensive tackle, offensive guard, cornerback, and edge rusher. To nobody's surprise, what did the Niners do? I like how they drafted a lot of defensive players, and I think that they can be really good players under Robert Saleh for this Niners defense. But Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch continue to not prioritize the offensive line. They don't take that unit seriously enough. The lack of depth and overall talent across the board, from left tackle all the way to right tackle, continues to be a problem for San Francisco going into 2025. And to me, it's an insane thought process and strategy when you consider they're going to pay Brock Purdy $50+ million. And look, the team that the Niners are chasing, the model of the NFL right now, is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are the defending Super Bowl champions. We know that Howie Roseman is obsessed with drafting offensive linemen. They had the best offensive line in football last year, and they still drafted 3 offensive linemen. The Niners have had offensive line issues for years. They still have a mediocre unit, and they waited until the 7th round to draft just 1 offensive lineman. Now, one team has 2 Super Bowl victories since 2017, both of those rosters with excellent offensive lines. The other has not won a Super Bowl since 1994. These are different organizational philosophies and team-building strategies. I think that football is won up front in the trenches. A lot of people will tell you that, but John Lynch is a former safety. Kyle Shanahan is a former wide receiver, and they unfortunately don't value the offensive line enough, and I think that could come back to cost San Francisco this year like it's cost them in previous years. And ran. Back to Mel Kiper here. He said what we all know and what we all knew going into the draft. This is and was a crucial draft for the 49ers, who are teetering on a potential rebuild. Yes, injuries decimated their roster on the way to a disastrous 2024 season, but they lost several starters this offseason, including guard Aaron Banks, cornerback Charvarius Ward, linebacker Dre Greenlaw, who hurt his quad, conflicting reports on the severity of that, safety Talanoa Hufanga, wide receiver Deebo Samuel Sr. Those are impact players who leave big shoes to fill. San Francisco has to figure out how to build its roster around a looming mega extension for quarterback Brock Purdy. And we knew going in, with 11 picks, tied for the most with the Baltimore Ravens going into this draft, that this was a huge draft for San Francisco. They needed to add talent. They needed to add starters. They needed to add depth. They needed to add players who can end up being impactful cats on affordable contracts. So a lot of holes and needs to fill for now and in the future. And if the Niners whiffed on this class, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, they might be out of here. Here's what Kiper had to say. General Manager John Lynch entered round 1 with 11 picks to play around with, including extra selections in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds. Could he come out of the weekend with impact players? Well, he certainly tried to help his defense. Lynch used his first 5 picks on that side of the ball. Only the second time the Niners have done that in the common draft era since 1967. 3 of those 5 made my list of favorite prospects ahead of the draft. Linebacker Nick Martin, cornerback Upton Stout, defensive tackle C.J. West. Martin and West were solid value picks, while Stout went a little high. All three are fun players who can make an impact, even if they're not likely to be rookie starters. A theme with the defensive players who the Niners chose. All of them have impressive athletic traits. Mykel Williams is nearly 270 pounds. He can move. He has anaconda-like arms. Alfred Collins is 6'5", 330 with a lot of burst for his size, and he can move double and triple teams. CJ West, fastest speed on the gauntlet among players 315 pounds or more. You had Nick Martin benching 225 pounds 26 times when he weighs 221. You had Upton Stout doing the most bench press reps of 225 among DBs at the combine, and he's like 180 pounds. Nick Martin can run well. All of these players can run well, and so they had unique testing numbers, and all of them have a history of stopping the run to a high level and high degree. And so a big point of emphasis for this Niners organization, scouting department, coaching staff, front office, they want to fix what has been a very porous rushing defense the last couple of years. More from Kiper here. Wide receiver Jordan Watkins, 27th ranked player at that position, while Jordan James, 23rd ranked running back. San Francisco took both earlier than I would have liked. Quarterback Kurtis Rourke is an interesting flyer in round 7. I was impressed by his decision-making and his timing on throws when he goes through the tape. I wouldn't be shocked if he made the roster. Now, Jordan Watkins is a player with 4.3 speed. He can track it. Sometimes on vertical routes, that speed doesn't translate. It's up to Kyle Shanahan and his coaching staff to bring that out of him. For Jordan James, classic Kyle Shanahan, Bobby Turner running back. He's been durable, never coughed it up and fumbled, good pass protector, decisive one-cut runner who's perfect for this scheme. And he's a pretty stacked athlete who plays a lot more physical than his size profile. Kurtis Rourke, there are things to like with this game. Kind of seems like a more injured Brock Purdy in the way that he can process, the way that he can throw with anticipation. But I just worry about the injuries. He's an older player, too, at 24 years old. Back to Kiper. This class likely will hinge on whether Mykel Williams can become a force on the other side of Nick Bosa. The Niners ranked 28th in pressure rate last year at 27.7%. Have to figure out ways to take pressure off their defensive backs. Williams is extremely explosive, but his modest sack totals, 5 in 2024, scared away some teams. Can San Francisco figure out how to get the best out of him on every snap? He has elite upside. He definitely has elite upside. And this draft class, yeah, it probably does hinge on how good Mykel Williams can be, because everything is there for him to be an elite player. Of note, 5 sacks last year, but he was dealing with an ankle sprain throughout much of the 2024 season. And for a dude who's that big, yeah, that'll impact how you play. So multiple draft picks out of this draft class, I think, will play right away, and they might have multiple draftees be starters for San Francisco in 2025 as well. An issue to monitor is that the trench players are not elite at getting after the quarterback. Mykel Williams, Alfred Collins, CJ West, they're not elite players as far as sack totals and pressure rate and getting to the quarterback. But think about it in this way too, and this is a different way to kind of think about it. If you're better against the run, and instead of the opposing offense facing a 3rd and 3, they have to face more 3rd and 5s and more 3rd and 7s. That rush defense is in turn helping out your pass defense. So Mykel Williams, Alfred Collins, I'll put CJ West in there. They do have NFL-ready bodies. I think Upton Stout, too, can play right away and be your slot corner. CJ West could end up being a steal. I mean, he is a freaky big hoss who's very explosive and twitchy for that size. Back to Kiper here. I like a few of the players that Lynch took, but the value was questionable. Again, that matters in an exercise like this because you want to see organizations maneuver the board and add extra capital. There definitely were some reaches. And the Niners have a history under Lynch and Shanahan of reaching on guys. But a lot of times they reach on players who they look at as their guys, as San Francisco 49ers, and they've hit on a lot of these day 2, day 3 guys especially, and we'll talk more about that here coming up just around the corner. But I do want to know, who's your favorite player from this Niners 2025 class? Let me know. Join the conversation down in the comment section right now. Now, if you do want a Mykel Williams jersey, you can get it today thanks to our friends at Fanatics at chatsports.com/49jersey. You use that link, it'll take you to Fanatics. You can get a Mykel Williams jersey. Or you can get another Niners jersey to get swagged up this summer and get ready for the upcoming 2025 season. Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, pretty much every single player that you can imagine, they have their jerseys available. Nick Bosa as well. So check it out, chatsports.com/49jersey. If you're in need of a new Niners jersey, you can get yours today. As far as the Niners reaching, Warren Sharp put out a very interesting graphic that I'm about to show you and some tweets that I want to read off. He said, the 49ers were a sneaky call for a team that needed to hit on the 2025 draft, even though they've been a solid team for years. But after ranking 28 in draft value last year, the 49ers did even worse this year, ranking 31st among 32 teams in draft value. The Niners had the 6th most draft capital, and they wasted a lot of it. Wide receiver Jordan Watkins out of Ole Miss was picked at 138. He wasn't ranked in the top 300 by consensus big boards. Nick Martin was drafted 75. He projected to go 192. And defensive backs Marques, Sigle, Upton, Stout represent additional multi-round reaches. Going so far off the board for a second straight year puts the bullseye squarely on John Lynch. He could lose in draft value, but win overall if he's smarter than everybody else out there. And these picks in 2024 and 2025 pay off. But if the back of this class falters, he's not going to have any excuses due to reaching on so many players. And you look at the draft chart for this year. Connor Colby was looked at as above average value. So was Jordan James and CJ West. But Mel Kiper had Jordan James as a reach. So it all kind of changes. But on this is draft capital over expectation on top 250 picks. You know, Kurtis Rourke can be argued as a reach. So too can Mykel Williams, Alfred Collins, and some other players here like Upton Stout, Marques Sigle, Jordan Watkins, Nick Martin. So I guess a lot of this depends on the opinions of draft analysts. I mean, last year we were talking about Ricky Pearsall and Renardo Green as being reaches. Some people thought Dominic Pooney was a little bit of a reach. Isaac Guerendo, Malik Mustafa were looked at as reaches in the eyes of some. But to me so far, it looks like those players might be huge hits from the 2024 class. And we'll see what happens down the road. But you see the most valuable NFL draft classes following the draft. You see the Niners ranking 31st among 32 teams, with the Tennessee Titans being there at 32. Honestly, though, I like what the Titans did in the draft. They got Cam Ward. They got some really good weapons for their number 1 overall quarterback and a tight end like Gunnar Helm. They got him pretty late, and I really liked Alec Ayumanor going to Tennessee as well. So we'll certainly see, but interesting to talk about here. So grade the Niners 2025 draft class, A, B, C, D, or F. Sound off with what you think, and I'm interested to see what you come up with.